it was like Zoom meetings or like modern seances, and then it's got it's got like the little meme picture of the people like holding hands, and it's like, Stephanie, are you there? Are you here with us? Can you hear me?
I like that.
Modern seances.
Were you able to look at that video thing that I
Um,
sent?
I didn't have any time to like watch it.
It's like 30 seconds, so if you just want to watch it when you
Oh,
get the
I'll watch it right now.
The dark side of human nature has a lot of creativity, has a lot of energy. An artist has to have a dark side. You use your dark side because all those dark emotions, all the people that shat on you in your life, they inspire you. They create your best work. Don't run away from your shadow. Don't run away from your narcissism. Use it in a healthy way.
Okay, so I have thoughts on that, but you go ahead.
Well, I didn't like it. I didn't I didn't like that idea that artists have to have this dark side because that's kind of the message that I feel like I had like all throughout college studying art, and I used that dark side. Anytime something bad would happen, I would try to be like, "Oh, at least I could, write a funny story about this, or like try to, and I thought I was being positive by doing that, but I realized that I was just like by using like negative things that happened to me, like it's an easy way to, yeah, fuel creativity, but it also like is telling basically the universe and myself, like, I like when bad things happen to me because then I could use them for my writing or for my art or, whatever. So I don't know. I didn't like it, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
I hear and I see that perspective, but I guess I feel like maybe it's just because I'm in the same mode that you were in the time that you were describing, because like I'm going through so much pain and like grief and stuff, and I have never felt more creative than I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like I take that energy and harness it into creativity. But like, so the thing I was telling you, I I listened to today about your shadow side. She was she was comparing it to um like a so like if you're a computer
Mm-hmm.
and your shadow side is like everything that you've moved to the trash bin because you don't want it, you don't like it, and so it's moved to the trash bin. Sometimes you like what do the work to like empty out the trash bin, and sometimes it just like fills up and fills up and fills up, and you've got all this shit in your trash bin on your computer. Um, but then she was talking about how sometimes when you go through your trash before you delete it all, because you want to make sure you're not deleting anything important or whatever, you can come across things that maybe you didn't take a close enough look at. You just threw it in the
Mm-hmm.
trash and you didn't take a close enough look at it to figure out if there is like something that you can learn from it before you just discard it. Because when things build up in your trash bin, um, they're being ignored, and your
Mm-hmm.
shadow side basically is always gonna it's being ignored. So at some point it's gonna be like, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I was thinking about that today when after I listened to that kind of analogy, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, that does make a lot of sense, because there's this whole thing in like spirituality called shadow work, and I
Mm-hmm.
know Candy has been doing a lot of that. I don't know what you like. Do you know much about shadow work, or I don't
I
really
know
know much
that
about it.
it's kind of related to taking like kind of fixing your flaws or something like that. I'm not exactly sure.
I think it's like shedding light on the things that you have been covering up about yourself.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
or something like that.
Mhm.
It's like digging in the trash bin and being like, oh shoot, I accidentally threw something away that maybe I thought I needed. You know, you're digging through and you find some stuff and you're like, oh, maybe I could actually use. I don't
That totally that totally makes sense. I know what you mean.
metaphors and analogies. It's
Mhm.
I got it from Dad.
I know I'm the same way. Everything has to. No, I actually found out that it's because like my brain can't with like autism, your brain has a hard time understanding a lot of abstract concepts. So you have to have some sort of analogy that's more tangible and physical that you can relate to help you understand these abstract concepts. And that's why I'm so obsessed with like making analogies of everything because my brain has such a hard time comprehending certain things that having that physical analogy actually helps a lot.
Whenever I've taken like competency tests, I always
Mhm.
score really, really high on abstract thinking, like shapes and patterns and stuff. Like I can like put those together
Mhm.
really easily, but it's weird because but I think in metaphors that in, but maybe because I think in metaphors, I can figure the abstract
That's what
stuff
I'm
out.
thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have so much practice thinking and having to think of metaphors for everything
Yeah, and
that,
similes, like this is to this as this is to this.
yeah, I
And it's like light bulb.
feel like everyone in our family is kind of like that. So it helps a lot when we're explaining to each other. Your analogies of the kind of the trash bin or the fishnet or whatever, something I've been doing lately, I've been working on, you know how there's like the different vibrations.
Have you seen the
Uh,
vibrational scale?
yeah, I've seen a few different ones, and the one that I really like, it shows at the bottom, it's like victimness
Hmm.
or whatever. And, you know, then there's higher up, there's like grief and rage and stuff. And then there's apathy. And then you go
Yes.
to the higher ones.
Yes.
And I feel like I would often, if I wanted to make something emotional, I would draw from the like uh, victim. Victimness is my go-to one, which is like the lowest one. But as like creatives, we're always like stuck in that victimness. And we try to use it um, to like boost our creativity. And like, yeah, it does boost, just like drugs can help a lot, but they have a bad side effect. So what I've been doing, because I've been really wanting to make emotional pieces, but I've been trying to tell myself like I am grateful for everything that happened because it made me who I am today. And I love, you know, my situation and everything, but I don't need any of that anymore. And I've been trying to more have like take from this feeling of gratitude and tell it like, take these victimness feelings or whatever this is and kind of trap it into whatever I'm creating. So like,
To
you'll
make it
see,
like observable,
yeah. And
but
like, I'm
not
almost,
not like external and not internal.
yeah. And it's not that I'm using that, like you've probably seen some of, I don't know if you've seen some of the Instagram things I've
Oh,
been.
I've watched them all.
And yeah, and so like a lot of them are really emotional, like people crying and all that stuff. But it's not, don't feel like I'm fueling negative vibrations to make
Right.
it. It's more that I'm fueling the positive vibrations to trap, like that's my fuel. And it's being used to kind of trap the bad feelings, if that makes sense.
I
I
love
don't,
it.
but I feel like it's been helping me so much more than when I was, you know, embracing using the darkness as fuel.
So one thing I do know that I've done since since I got abandoned in the middle of the desert by my husband, left me, and I'm going through a freaking crappy divorce, and my life got pulled out, so the rug got pulled out from underneath me, and I'm just like taking it day by day. But I have like I recognize that I was betrayed. I
Hmm.
recognize that I feel or felt at least hurt from that betrayal, but I think I almost like disassociated a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a really good way for me to like I had to literally take myself and like out of my body and just look at everything, because I was like, this is literally the moment where you are going to sink or swim. Like, and lower vibrations will pull me down, higher vibrations will pull me up. And I had to like fake it for a long time. I like fake it till I made it of like good vibes and positive vibrations. And for that, like for the whole time that I was in New Mexico, that I like wasn't on social media. I didn't really talk to anybody. And because I didn't have like, I didn't even know what to say. And I was so, but I knew that I couldn't just like bitch about it because I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure what was going on. But
Yeah.
so that's why I made like those cooking videos and stuff. And because I didn't really know, I didn't really know what else to do, but I knew I needed to express myself artistically. So I had to cook on on coal on a grill, coal grill every day. If I wanted anything to eat, it was a very long process. So I just turned it into art. And then once I got back, then I had to really start faking positive vibrations, because like, but for me, it was like, if I go negative, I could ruin everything. I could lose my kids. I could, at the time, I thought I could lose my husband, because like at the time I thought like, no, you got to keep yourself up. Don't drop down, because you can't, you can save this marriage. You can save this marriage. You can save this family. And now I don't feel like I need to save my marriage or anything. I don't want to save my marriage, but I do want to keep myself in a place to where no one can say she's unstable, she can't have her kids, or so even when I was doing like the ukulele a lot, I always tried to pick like uplifting songs to like cover for the even if just not, I don't know, just like not feeling like a victim. So I don't know at what point on the level on the vibrational scale that I was, but it was probably, maybe it was like apathy or grief.
Uh-huh.
But
Which
like
is
I was,
still better than being a victim.
yeah,
So.
yeah, that was the one thing that I could not, I could not let myself do. And I did have a lot of things to be grateful for too, like my job and my health and everything. And there's this one artist that I listened to like nonstop when I was out there. His name is it's Londrell, and he has like spiritual music. And there's one song on this album. It's called Gratitude, and that I listen to that one a lot. I'll have to send it to you. But it's like when you are in the vibrational state of like gratitude, and you really, because sometimes all you have to do, and if you're feeling like really really bad, because I have done this many times, and have to just like sit down and like I'll play that song and it'll help my vibrations, and then it helps me think of everything that I am grateful for, because I have a house. I have 50-50 custody with my kids, so I get to see them at least half the time, so it's like technically fair. Um, I'm healthy. I have I have like the things that I need, and I live in a really pretty place. That's one of the main things that I have to keep reminding myself of, is that like I can just sit outside and see the trees and the forest and stuff, and it helps me not focus on like everything that I've lost.
I can definitely feel that from you, and I feel like that's been bringing you like a lot of good things with like your work and stuff because you are having that attitude. But I also think it's important to, something I've been reminding myself is not to get into the toxic positivity where you aren't acknowledging this like recycling bin or whatever. And
Yeah, I think that's my problem. It's just sitting there.
yeah. So like, cause yeah, I do that a lot. And this exercise of like trying to kind of use the positive vibrations as fuel, but still as almost like a carrier, like the currents, how they like carry the sea turtles or whatever. You're using that to carry the kind of negative stuff out and help you process it or whatever. Because I think that I mean, using the lower vibrations is, I think, easier to create with. I remember, so our our great great grandma's second cousin, as you know, is a poet who would always talk about how he saw the beauty in the darkness, and um, that it was this wonderful thing, and it helped him fuel some like really amazing poems that are still popular today. But he with I think that's like a huge reason that his life went so downhill. Yeah, there's beauty in darkness, but there's beauty in like a lot of things that are not good for us. Just because there's beauty in it doesn't mean we need to consume it. It doesn't mean we need to run away from it. But like, I think there's a difference between acknowledging it and using it as the actual fuel for your creativity.
How do you think is the best way to like find a middle ground for that?
Thinking through the things that you're struggling with, and you know I like to thank them for what they taught me, and then just release it. And I mean, everyone has their own way of releasing things. Mine is through writing and through drawing, but some people's is through music, some people is through cooking, whatever it is. And I don't know, it's just something I recently started in the last couple months, so I'm not sure how long it's gonna last, me doing this. But
Sounds really healthy though.
how I was telling you how I've been like kind of scared to be creative anymore, because I look around at all my, you know, like the people that we're closest to, like in our family, everyone who's like went after a passion career or something, like they end up poor and like miserable. You think
Yeah.
of our sisters who married people who did something, or just going after what they love instead of like what will financially support them. And that, I mean, yeah, they're passionate, but like it's it's not
Like not
bringing happiness.
sustainable
Yeah.
in the
And
3D world that we happen to live in.
yeah. um and yeah, part of that is just because of our society, but it's, I think that's part of what made me start thinking of all this, because I think of my husband, who is not like artistic at all. But he was telling me that he still uses creativity like with his work,
Yeah.
like with accounting stuff, with project management stuff. He's still able to be creative. It doesn't have to be like a certain um like medium or anything. And I think that's and he would try to use it in a healthy way. Like he would use it for like his main feelings were, yeah, he would use rage sometimes for some of his stuff to get through, but his biggest thing was determination, he said, is his like main driver. And I'm just like wondering how we could access determination more, because I mean, his goal is like, I want to make this amount of money, which people say like, oh, you shouldn't have money as a goal, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I'm just trying to wonder, like, as a creative, I think that's a hard because enthusiasm is such a great like drive, and it's a great way to get rid of those, flush out those like negative things. But I think like the more like artistic and creative you are, the harder it is to kind of have that determination vibration, if that makes sense.
Can I tell you? Okay, so last night, remember I sent the sister chat message and I was painting a watercolor and like
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling sad. Went through a divorce and I just started dating and met someone like really awesome and then he kind of just stopped talking to me. So feeling like I wasn't really sure what to do, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to like lash out, or it's not that big of a deal, right? Like I'm literally still going through a divorce, so whatever. But um, I like lit some incense and I put some candies like essential oil on my hands, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna do like some oracle cards, and I played like Himalayan kind of just up like the mood, and so I ended up getting a card that was inspiration, like the card said inspiration, and it was talking about like express yourself creatively. So, and I was still kind of feeling sad about, but I knew it's like the thing I was feeling sad about, like at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. It was just kind of bringing down my vibe. I was like, okay, I've got like some of his things. I got to drop those off at his house. So maybe I'll watercolor and I'll watercolor paint him something nice. And then I'll like leave that in there. So, and then I was like, because of course me, my love language is like giving gifts. I think of like different things that I could like create, because I can't just sit down and like paint something. I was like thinking, I was like, okay, well, we had a couple really like cool nights where we were out back and the moon looked really cool. So like, maybe if I'll do like a watercolor moon. So I looked through like some tutorials and like watched a couple of videos on how people watercolor painted moons, and I got like halfway through a moon painting, and I was like, this feels like I didn't like the vibes of it, because I don't know, it felt like it didn't feel right. It was like, think about him. He loves hockey. He loves the Seattle hockey team, the Kraken. And so I was like, oh, a Kraken, that might be cool. And like like uplifting or whatever. So that's why I painted a Kraken.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically just like looked up kind of like a sketch, because I like sketched it out first and then um, watercolored it. Like, and it ended up looking really good.
Yeah.
I didn't give it to him. I just painted it and I liked it. I dropped off his salad bowl and stuff today on my
Mm-hmm.
porch, and but I didn't leave the Kraken painting, because but like it turned out, I don't know, it turned out really good. I showed you guys a picture, but
Yeah.
that's why I painted that, and I feel like it did come from like a higher vibrational place than like the moon thing, when I was thinking about like, oh, when we were, I missed that moment. It's like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that when you're like get on the right vibe and like just then suddenly something appears that's like better than you intended.
Yeah.
I guess in conclusion, like I still disagree with that video. And I think that, but I also think it's important to acknowledge the things that we're feeling, um and some of those lessons that you learned can inspire you. The difficult feelings you were feeling in that situation, like kind of inspired you to do the thing, but you weren't using the vibration of like grief or sadness or whatever. But it could still be kind of what encourages you to do a thing. So I guess just, yeah, they say you do it in a healthy way. They don't really say what the healthy way is, but
I feel like that's like a muse, right? I want, is a muse a healthy thing?
amuse.
Yeah, I haven't really ever thought of it like that before. Like what if you could find a muse? Like
Yeah.
a muse sounds high vibrational
Yeah.
and not like your pain, but like a but you're in like something that's inspiring.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a dark version of a muse,
Yeah.
the light version of a muse
We need
or
yeah, we
something.
figure out what the light version is.
Is it dark? Like I'm trying to think of like a spiritual equivalent to like because using dark as um as fuel seems kind of like using steroids to get strong or whatever. Like it could help temporarily, but it's going to cause issues like in the future. So I don't know what that's being fueled from because I don't see muses as something dark. So
It's called the dark muse.
the dark muse, I'm gonna have to do more research on the dark muse. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry if I veered from topic a
No,
lot. ADD and my mind.
yeah.
And also like I have a sinus infection, so my
Oh,
brain's
you're
pushed.
great. Yeah, this was a really good discussion and I loved your analogies. So yeah, I'm gonna put something together. Hopefully
Okay.
we'll see